Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place you come to, well, plunge right into the heart of big ideas, helping you cut through all the noise and get straight to those aha moments. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something you hear about all the time, but maybe don't always fully grasp, design thinking. And we're going way beyond just, how things look. We mean the real core, the architecture of how stuff actually functions and how it really impacts our lives. So our mission basically is to pull out the most powerful insights on design, looking at it from a truly visionary angle. We've got some deep sources here that we think will really reframe how you understand it. Think of this as your shortcut to seeing design not as decoration, but as destiny.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Most people, their first thought on design is still just appearance, how it looks. But for the real innovators, design is fundamentally about how things work. It's definitely not just, lipstick on a laptop. It's more like the DNA of the device itself. That shapes everything it does, its whole purpose. Getting that distinction clear right from the start is super important.
That is a powerful distinction.
Yeah.
And it immediately takes us past just the surface level. So, okay, if we're talking about this deeper design thinking, this sort of DNA level stuff, what does that actually mean for someone creating something, a product, an idea?
Well, think about it like baking a cake, maybe. Most people, their first instinct is the frosting, right? The look, the finish. But real design thinking, it insists, don't frost a failure, fix the flavor first. Design isn't just the sugar on top. It's the whole recipe, the rhythm, the reason it exists, the core.
Yeah.
And, while we talk about these big ideas, it's good to remember there's often a process like understand users, defining problems, ideation, prototyping, testing, that cycle.
Okay, the cake analogy helps. So design is the recipe. Where do you even start gathering the ingredients for that perfect flavor? Is it about what we think is cool?
Yeah.
Or...
No, it's really something else entirely. It starts with empathy. Empathy is basically the engine for innovation here. Good design thinking doesn't kick off with, hey, what cool thing can we build? It starts with, why should this even exist? And that's from the user's point of view. It means really trying to crawl into the customer's skin, understanding their actual pain points, maybe their fears, their perspectives, even the stuff they don't say out loud. It's not just about asking for feedback. It's about watching them, seeing those little frustrations or workarounds they've just accepted. Intention shapes the innovation. Intuition sharpens it. And that's why things like ethnographic research or really deep user interviews are so vital. They uncover those hidden needs.
Right. It makes you think how often the best ideas aren't the most obvious ones, are they? And speaking of hidden things, achieving simplicity, that always feels really, really hard. Brutal sometimes for creators. What's the biggest mistake people make when they try to simplify?
Yeah, it is hard. The biggest misconception, I think, is that simplicity just means fewer features, less functionality. But it doesn't, not really. True simplicity is more like subtractive surgery. Remember Michelangelo? I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free. That's the idea. Design thinking means you have to be willing to cut the clutter, clear the canvas, connect right to the core, practically speaking. That means ruthless prioritization, constantly asking, is this essential value or just more noise? Sometimes the systems underneath are complex, sure, but great design makes that complexity invisible, or at least intuitive. Good design removes friction. Great design removes frustration.
Subtractive surgery. I like that. So it's less about adding, more about, artful removal, making complex things feel effortless. Okay, so given that, where does iteration fit in? Design thinking is famous for prototypes, feedback loops. How does that work with this subtractive art?
Oh, iteration is absolutely crucial. It's like the editor in the whole process. You design something, you test it, you tweak it. And sometimes, you have to tear it down and rebuild it. The whole point of a prototype isn't perfection, it's progress. That's exactly why methods like, rapid prototyping or lean sprints are so key to design thinking. They give you that structure for constant editing, constant refinement. Every single iteration, it's like testing a hypothesis. It gets you a step closer to what really works.
Okay, but what about failure? So many people, maybe teams too, they get paralyzed by the fear of failing when they try to iterate like that. How does design thinking reframe that?
That's a huge one. We're often taught, failure is the end. It's fatal. But in design, failure is fertile. It's where the learning happens. A really key insight here is realizing failure isn't the opposite of success. It's actually the staircase to it. It's just part of the journey. You have to expect it, almost embrace it. I remember this one project, we built a prototype for a new customer service bot. User testing, absolute disaster, just awful. But it was that failure, that complete flop, that forced us to totally rethink our basic assumptions about how people wanted to interact. And that led us to this breakthrough conversational approach we probably never would have found otherwise.
Wow, yeah. Seeing failure as fertile ground, as a staircase, that's a big perspective shift. Okay, this leads nicely into another cornerstone, right? Collaboration. It's not just designers or engineers off in their own corners, it's cross-functional teams. But how do you actually make that work effectively with all those different viewpoints clashing?
Right, because they do clash sometimes. But innovation really happens when ideas collide, not when they sit in isolation. The real trick isn't just that they should collide, but figuring out how to manage that collision so it actually generates something good, instead of just, breaking things. You genuinely want poets on your product team. Musicians in your meetings. You need to embrace diverse thinking, even the stuff that sounds completely counterintuitive at first. It's about setting up ways to work where disagreements aren't roadblocks, but chances to understand something deeper. When logic dances with lyricism, that's when you get lightning in a bottle. And yeah, sometimes that means sorting out different jargon or priorities, but design thinking can provide that common language, that shared goal to get past those hurdles.
Lightning in a bottle. That really sums up the potential, doesn't it? Okay, so let's boil it down. If there's one single, ultimate, tattoo-worthy thought about design thinking for everyone listening, whether they're building stuff, launching ideas, maybe even just trying to fix a process in their own lives, what's the absolute core takeaway?
The single most important thing, I'd say this. Don't just make it work. Make it worth it. Design is really the soul of the solution. If it doesn't genuinely serve the user, if it doesn't solve a real problem or truly elevate their experience, then honestly, it doesn't deserve to exist. It's about creating something that resonates, something that adds undeniable value to someone's life.
That really lands. This whole deep dive, it feels like it shifted design from being, ornamental, something extra, to something almost existential, a fundamental way to approach problems.
Because it really is. Design isn't just a department you pass things through or, a phase in a project plan. It's a decision. It's a discipline. And it's kind of a daily devotion. It's a mindset that needs to be embedded in everything.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Remember what we said at the start. Design is destiny. It really does shape our world, how we interact, what we experience. So make it deliberate. Whatever you're working on, whatever you're exploring, think about these principles: empathy, simplicity, iteration, collaboration. How do they apply to what you do? Keep exploring, keep discovering,